Alright, I'm not really one for off-the-cuff analysis, but sometimes your favorite game gets remade and you have to break some rules. This looks to be a beat-for-beat remake of this scene from the original. Persona 3 used these animated cutscenes for scenes where the in-game engine didn't allow for a certain visual flair. In my opinion, Persona 3 has the best cinematics in the series. There's a fluidity to the animations that really sells the emotional impacts. In the remake, Atlas seems to be trying to do these cinematics entirely in-engine. If they can actually capture the quality of animation in-engine, then the cinematics will look to be even more a part of the world. Whether they pull that off, we'll see, but the trailer gives me hope. Past that, I won't say too much about the visuals. That's ultimately rather subjective. I will say, whenever you play a video game, you kind of picture the world in your head. Especially in a lower definition game from older eras. You kind of build an HD picture in your head. I think the goal of a faithful remake is to try to capture that mental picture as closely as possible. At least for me, this trailer looks exactly how I imagined Persona 3 to look. Now moving on, listen to the music real quickly.
I'm not free, but I kept trying. Not strong enough, but I kept going. With all the hardship away, knowing that if I don't fight,
the singer is definitely Lotus Juice, the singer for most of the male lyrics in Persona. I don't recognize those lyrics though. I think this is a new song, and I think it's a variation of the Tartarus theme.
I'm not free, but I kept.
Alright, now let's see what they're actually showing us.
I'm not free, but I kept trying. Not strong enough, but I kept going.
This is a really faithful recreation of GeckoCon. At first I thought they'd actually redesigned the exterior, but it's actually that the Persona 3 engine couldn't show us the exterior at this angle. It looks intimidating. It fits well with the secrets of the school. I see why the Persona 4 crew were so nervous when they visited. As a small note, the remake minimap seems to show a new area off to the right of the entrance. This looks to be a new scene. I don't recognize this dialogue, and there is no event on June 26th. I think Persona 3 could use more team-building scenes like this, so as long as they can stick to the quality of the original, I'm all for more. I don't think we've seen this kitchen before either. I think it's alluded to in the game, but we never actually see it. I'm guessing that door in the background is the back entrance. The Paulownia Mall recreation looked to be very faithful. I think the poster here is new, and that billboard I believe was added in Portable, so nice to see it back. This is the Magician Rank 1 conversation. The localization looks to have changed up a little bit. I get all geeked up when I eat here becomes, I always geek out a little whenever I eat here. I think that's good. The new phrasing comes out more naturally. I'm all for changes like this as long as they remain faithful to the source material. Also note the attention to detail in the recreation here. The remake has a lot of very small touches that are faithful to the original. Look at those two books on the counter. I also really like the addition of a portrait here for Makoto. It conveys a lot of subtle emotion. Compare this against the portrait used for Joker in Persona 5. Joker looks very unemotional here. In contrast, I think Makoto looks like he's having fun. They seem to have redesigned the police shop. It looks like they're talking in a back room at the station now. That makes sense. Similar to how Takemi takes Joker in back to sell things. If you're going to sell weapons to children, you probably shouldn't do it at your front desk at a crowded mall. I do like that they held on to this little mascot guy. The remake seems willing to make changes, but only when they make sense. I would bet if you asked the original Persona 3 team about this, they would have agreed this would be preferable, but they probably couldn't have justified the time and cost of modeling another room. I think those sorts of changes are what remakes are for. The shops seem to have been Persona 5-ified, which I think is an unambiguous upgrade. The unique interface gives each shop its own atmosphere. We also see you can shop for each party member, rather than just picking everything off of a single big list. It's a good quality of life improvement. The original didn't even let you see what your party already had equipped. That was just a bit of friction that was not necessary. Hora Tenebrosa is Latin for dark hour. Alright, this is going to be the dorkiest part of the analysis. I have a buddy who's a big fan of clip-on headphones. The original design of Makoto's headphones mixed elements of the Audio-Technica ATH-EM7 and the Audio-Technica ATH-EM700. The reworked design is unambiguously the titanium edition of the EM700. I only bring this up because it shows an attention to detail. They didn't want him to just have headphones, they wanted to make sure he had genuine-looking music lover headphones. They could have just copied the original design and nobody would have complained. Except for my clip-on nerd buddy. But they actually put in the work to make sure they got it just right. This is definitely a recreation of this scene. Note the Roman numeral on the mask in the remake. Every shadow in Persona 3 has a numeral like that, but it's missing in the original cinematic. I can only assume there was an error in the original animation, so once again, good attention to detail. Here we get our first glimpse at Tartarus. Tartarus was, I think, fairly criticized in the original for being too mundane. It was a chain of small rooms, with the different regions feeling like not much more than palette swaps. The rooms in the remake are huge by comparison. This better captures how enormous Tartarus is supposed to be. The features here also don't look like they'd fit into the other blocks of Tartarus, so hopefully that means that each block is going to have its own design. And while I was editing this, the Japanese version of the trailer dropped. It is identical, except that it shows the first block of Tartarus instead. And its design does look totally different. That seems to confirm my hope. The new menu has a sort of ocean motif to it. The original game had a bit of an ocean motif, but they seem to be driving it home more. It fits well with the blue color motif, but the ocean is also often used as a metaphor for the unknown, which encompasses both the unconscious and death. Port Island itself is an artificial island, so in a sense Tartarus is located at the site of man encroaching upon the ocean, the unknown. I appreciate the metaphor, and I hope we get to see them leaning into it more. Dum spiro spero is a Latin phrase meaning, while I breathe, I hope. I don't believe it ever appears in the original, but it's very in keeping with Persona 3's appreciation of classical languages and philosophy, as well as its themes of facing death and holding on to hope. The creators of the remake seem to be digging into the ideas that inspired the original, and trying to integrate them even more. That is a fantastic sign. This shot looks to be a recreation of when Makoto loses control during his awakening.
Thou art I, and I am thou. From the sea of thy soul I cometh. I am Orpheus, master of strings.
As we suspected.
I think whether you like this change is going to be more subjective. I like that he maintains the eye glow. I think it makes sense for that to last as long as the persona does. As for whether it's better for him to collapse in agony or scream to the heavens in agony, I'm honestly not sure. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think. I'm probably going to take like 2 weeks off work in early 2024. I was going to say that because this was announced at the Xbox conference, that they wouldn't mention if it was coming to Sony or Nintendo consoles. But as I was editing, the official website opened up. It also lists only Xbox and Windows, so it looks like this is probably an exclusive. If it is, I hope it's a short-timed exclusive and we won't see the kind of waits we'd had for Persona 5 to get ports. It's always preferable for a game to be on any system that has the hardware to run it. Anyway, the next regular Persona video is almost done. I'm hoping to have it up next weekend. After that, I have at least 5 Persona videos in the pipeline. I don't know why, but I suddenly feel very energized about the series. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy what's coming next.